All right, I'm Paul Greenberg, and today I have a great opportunity to have an interview with Special Agent Retired FBI Cesar Paz. It's right there, right?
That's correct.
So today I just wanted to kind of talk to
You
you.
can open it up.
Oh, he opened up too. Man, okay, you look young in that picture.
Very young.
Wow.
I think I had been in the Bureau for about 16 years.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Thanks.
At least you age well.
Well, thank you.
So I just wanted to kind of bring you on and go over it because you know on my TikTok I am obviously a big Trump supporter, and I follow Trump a lot. I follow all his stuff, all his social media, everything he does, and obviously he's been shot. So one of the things I want to go because I owned a gun store. I've been shooting guns since I'm 3 years old. I know a lot about firearms, or at least to my level of knowledge of firearms. So I wanted to get your real advice and your insight of what you think might have took place or how it went down or how somebody can get through that type of security, because I'm sure you've been around very many high-level ranking people, whether it's political or through other countries, and you would know how these people interact. So I don't know how this would happen.
Well, first of all, thank you for the invitation. Second of all, we're looking at what happened last Saturday. Today is July the 16th. We're about 4 days ago. A 20-year-old male with, from what we know, no military experience gets on the roof of a building, of a metal building, metal structure, situates himself about 100 and so yards from the former president of the United States, and he fires multiple shots at him until the Secret Service sniper finally neutralizes him. Now, there are all kinds of things that come up officially and also in the news. I suggest to those that are going to view this video that they are careful when listening to wannabe analysts, wannabe special forces, wannabe military, wannabe former whatever, okay? Because they don't have the knowledge. They don't have the experience. And in my opinion, what they want to do is they want to just agitate the people and create some sort of a momentum for them to gain notoriety. Okay. Second thing, we're gonna point out a couple of things that are very interesting in regards to failures. Let me say this: the U.S. Secret Service is a very fine organization, and because it's composed of human beings.
Hold that microphone a little closer.
Okay, they are going to make mistakes. And that happens all across the board with the Secret Service, the CIA, the FBI, ATF, you name it. It's going to happen because we humans make mistakes. However, there are certain things that I think we need to point out that are just out there that nobody's talking about. And by the way, I have a high respect for U.S. Secret Service agents. I have worked with them. I have friends that are still active with the Secret Service and friends that are already retired from the Secret Service that served in the time of Ronald Reagan and George Bush and President Obama. So anyway, that's the first thing that I want to get out of the way. You know, these phony wannabe commentators, analysts that are putting together some sort of a conspiracy theory that really does not hold water. I don't believe that the agents that are there are involved in anything illegal. It would be insulting for me to say something like that. It would be totally insulting. They did an honorable job. I mean, who out there, maybe us here, but who out there would throw himself or herself in front of a person to save his or her life?
Yeah, because there's bullets coming.
Yes, and those bullets, whether it's a 223 or whatever caliber, I mean, they can travel 2,000-3,000 feet per second, and you know, it would take your life. You know, in any case. One of the things that the authorities have done already is ID this individual. The second thing that they're trying to figure out still is if he has any connections with another political group, political party.
Which I think they said he donated $15 to the Democratic Party, but he's a registered Republican.
Correct. So that right there is very curious, and we'll talk about that later. We'll come back to that. They are going to try to establish any connections with a terrorist group. They're going to try to establish a connection perhaps with, and this is what I would do if I was investigating, you know, connections with a foreign power, you know, intelligence agents from China, Russia, Iran, I mean, our enemies, you know, North Korea, et cetera, especially Russians and Chinese, who are very active and they're very aggressive here in the U.S. And people don't even know this, you know.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to take out Donald Trump.
Absolutely.
I mean, we see, you know, the news talk about just the political battle between Democratic and Republican Party, but I'm sure there's a lot of other countries that have business ties to what goes on in America that necessarily don't want Trump to come back into power because he can tax certain things, block certain things, and take away his people's ability to make money. And we're not talking a little money. We're talking millions and millions of dollars.
Exactly. You know, there are political reasons, economic reasons, financial reasons, geopolitical reasons that our enemies, you know, would be using as a base to take him out. So establishing other associations with foreign powers that are enemies, establishing a connection with perhaps local groups, domestic groups here in the U.S. that are against Donald Trump. Now, does it surprise me that this happened last Saturday? Absolutely not.
I thought it would happen sooner.
And believe me, you know, I've been thinking, you know, every time he goes out, every time he's in public, when he's coming out of a courthouse, when he's going into the courthouse, when he's boarding a flight, or when he's boarding his or entering his vehicle. And why am I not surprised? You know, I'm not surprised because for 8 years plus, what have we been seeing? We've been seeing political figures like Schumer, like Nancy Pelosi, call the people to take
action,
but not just action, but vengeful action, aggressive action against Trump and his family. Maxine Waters. I mean, do I have to say anything else about Maxine Waters? I mean, you know, she calls, you know, people to go and identify Trump supporters and you know, harass them.
But as soon as you bring it up, everybody says January 6th that Trump, you know, brought on this whole.
But it doesn't hold water.
Yeah, it doesn't hold water.
But
that's what they try to say, that, you know, how, and which that's a whole nother subject of how that whole thing went down, which is very, you know, suspicious. Especially Trump came out and said peaceful.
Exactly.
You know, he said that clearly, but they try to twist that around too.
But even if he was wrong, even if he had done, you know, something completely wrong, does that justify, you know, a more aggressive, taking him out, killing him? Absolutely.
Like they say, two wrongs don't make a right.
Exactly. Yeah. Two wrongs don't make a right. Anyway, so we have people like Kathy Griffin, who's holding a bloody head, decapitated head of Donald Trump. You know, you have Johnny Depp saying the things he's doing. He hasn't seen a dead president yet. No. You see skits on social media of a person, an actor obviously, that looks like Donald Trump, and you see other people trying to kill him, stabbing him, shooting. You know, when you see or you hear CNN Cuomo, you know,
who, by the way, now all of a sudden he seems like he's advocating for Trump.
Yeah,
well, which is another whole joke.
They changed their tune. When you see Madonna or Snoop Dogg, you know, and you see that over and over and over and over again, and then you see Robert De Niro, whom I used to, enjoy his movies and great actor, but as a person, my gosh, the guy is calling for or saying things that are very combative, aggressive, violent. And then on top of that, the icing on the cake, I call it, we have President Biden about a week ago saying that we should put Trump on a bullseye.
Which is crazy.
It is. A president should not be saying that.
But that also sparks the whole relation of, the conspiracy theory. Exactly. All of a sudden he says Trump in the bullseye, and all of a sudden a week later somebody tries to take Trump out.
Exactly. But so does it surprise me? It doesn't surprise me. In fact, I have thought that maybe this should have happened, months ago, or maybe over a year and a half ago. But it happened last Saturday, and we have now that I have reviewed the videos numerous times and have looked at the pictures, the overhead pictures of the area. Let me say something without mentioning the name of the agency. Not CIA, CIA, but it's a different agency that assists other government agencies, in this case, the Secret Service, to do an analysis, a 3D topographical analysis of the area where a dignitary, in this case Donald Trump, is going to be giving a speech. The software analyzes the whole area, and I'm not giving out any classified information, by the way. Okay, so that the software analyzes the whole area, and it pinpoints and determines which are the weak links, the weak spots, the spots that could represent a threat, a spot where let's call it an assassin or a bad guy would place himself or herself to commit an act like this. Okay, so they take a look at it, they identify him, and then they block those spots. They either put somebody to guard him, either an agent or a police officer, et cetera, et cetera. They'll have like roving patrol inside the multiple level parking structure, whatever, and they're going to make sure that place is secure. Mm-hmm. They establish a line of communications between the local and state agencies with the Secret Service. Now, the Secret Service team is composed of different parts, different teams. You have the protective detail that is actually with President Trump, or
it's like a defense and an offense.
Exactly. You have the guys in dark suits and the white shirts that you see in the videos. They're going to be very close to him. Then you have another team, which is the reactive team or the tactical team. Mm-hmm. And then you're going to have the snipers, and then you're going to have the comms guys, the communications guys, and then you're going to have the analysts. The guys, and so there is communication going back and forth, and they have encrypted communications with the local authorities. Now we're looking at some of the people in the crowd that apparently saw this guy, the assassin, crawl up on the side of the building.
Yes.
Place himself
with people videoing him.
Exactly, they were taking still shots and also videos, and he gets to the top and starts doing the commando crawl. And let me point this out. The metal structure, the roof of the metal structure is at an angle.
Yep.
So some people are saying, well, you can see in the video that the Secret Service sniper is looking at him, and how come he didn't shoot him? He should have shot him right away. Well, if the roof of the building is at an angle, the head or part of the body is not gonna come out right away. It's not gonna be visible right away. So there's not gonna be a line of sight between the observer, who is right next to the sniper. There's not gonna be a line of sight. They can't identify him. So I think that what happens was that the sniper was looking through the scope, was not sure, elevated his head, looked over the loopholed sights and or scope, I should say, and said, "Yeah, that's a threat." Went back and fired, but within a couple of seconds, multiple shots were fired, Now, President Trump is addressing the crowd. He's looking at it, and then he turns a little bit to the right, and then he turns a little more to point at or
chart,
talk
Adam.
about a chart that was on a huge screen on the side of the side of the stage. And it is at that moment that a bullet grazes his ear, and you can he goes like this, he reacts. The brain doesn't even have to think about it. The limbic brain reacts, and you go like this, and then he hits the floor, and you can see right away the agents pile up on top of him to protect him. Looking at the videos and looking at the trajectory of the different bullets that have been published, I'm just curious. Again, and I'm not trying to put together or present some sort of conspiracy theory or anything like that, but I'm just looking at things. Okay, so there's a bullet that comes and grazes his ear. Okay, first of all, I'm not a sniper, by the way, but I have spoken with some of them in the past and recently. And what they try to do is when they have to eliminate a target, where do they aim? They aim at, either at this front part or at the base of the medulla, which is on the side. And if the assassin, which is in this case, was like to the side, to the right side of the stage, I mean, he has a perfect view of the side of Donald Trump. And I mean, if it follows the trajectory, the bullet follows the trajectory, and hits the ear, well, it's going to go through and
kill him.
It's
a one-shot kill.
Exactly. But after that, you see it seems to be, and correct me if I'm wrong, but, it seems like that is the first shot, because after that come a series of shots that go in different directions. And I'm going, 20-year-old man, I'm not going to call him a kid, perhaps emotionally he may be, but 20-year-old man with no previous military experience. At 6 o'clock or so in the afternoon, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it starts crawling up the side of a metal building. Commando crawls on top of the roof, okay? The temperatures in Butler, Pennsylvania raised to about 92 degrees.
Yeah, I think it was in the mid-90s or something that day.
Exactly, and I looked it up online. It was about 92 degrees, perhaps even more. But can you imagine the sun hitting that metal roof?
Have you ever worked on a roof? Because I've had every job possible known to man. And I've had the ability to work out as a summer job working on a roof in New York. And I can tell you that a regular shingle roof, when you climb on it in the summer, it's hot.
It's hot, yeah.
Yes.
Shingle roof. I've been on top of on the roof of my house, a house that I used to own, and it isn't fun.
Yeah, like you touch it and you're like...
You feel the heat.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about a 20-year-old man commando crawling on top of a roof that is at an angle, and he is crawling. It looks like he has fatigues, pants, or something like that, and a shirt or a T-shirt. And he's pushing an AR-15, looks like it, pushing that and maybe ammo. I understand he had a rangefinder. And the roof has been heated up, the whole day, 92-degree weather, sun hit. Brother, let me tell you something. I remember when I went to the academy, when I've been to firearms qualification with the FBI. We go to the prone position, and if it's a hot day, July, for qualification, you want to get out from that. You want to get out from that
as quick as possible. You're not comfortable.
No, you're not comfortable.
Yes.
So imagine that. Then he gets a visitor. Okay, there's a police officer that actually confronts him, and allegedly he points the rifle at the police officer, and the police officer, backs off.
And this is all prior for him taking his first shot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So he backs off. I'm not going to say, well, I would have done this or I would have done that, because, it's easy to be sitting here comfortably in this podcast studio and we're comfortable here, nice. I had lunch, I had a soft drink. We're relaxing. But different thing is being in 92-degree weather on a tin roof or a metal roof, knowing that I am going to fire at least one, if not multiple shots to eliminate the former president of the United States, and then a police officer. I mean, imagine, okay, the adrenaline pumping.
Okay. Have you ever, when you were in line of duty, have you ever had to fire at somebody?
I haven't shot anybody directly.
But you had a gunfight?
No, I haven't been in a gunfight. I haven't fired. I've been shot at when I was in Iraq.
Okay, so in the attempt of a gunfight, how high does your adrenaline go?
Listen to me. I remember one time I was in Iraq, and we had just gotten off the plane, and we were waiting for transport, and the alarms went off. The alarm attacks went off, and mortar rounds start flying over our heads. And the alarm goes, you got to look for cover. So I went for cover, and I remember my thighs going like this, my heart pumping. I could hear my heart pumping.
Yep.
My breathing. I wasn't wearing any earplugs. I wasn't wearing anything. I had my AR with me, or my M4 with me. I had my gear with me and my backpack. And, the first thought, it's like, okay, this is it, and then you think about family, you think of other things, but the adrenaline pumps through your body, and the blood concentrates, in this area, and
yeah, it's a normal flight, fight or defense mode. Yeah,
exactly. So imagine this, he's up there on the roof. Then he gets confronted by a police officer. Police officer backs off.
But right there, from your knowledge, would you say at that point someone's adrenaline's pumping?
Hell yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Big time.
Yes.
Big time. Okay. And
it's like getting pulled over. If you get pulled over by a police officer, your adrenaline's going.
Exactly. Even if you're law enforcement, when I've gotten pulled over, put my hands, on the wheel, and what did I do?
So,
you start doubting yourself.
And that's the first thing I wanted to put a point on, is just a simple interaction with a police officer. Your adrenaline gets going. It's a normal.
It's a normal response.
Normal response to it.
And it's not something that you think about it and then you do it. It's actually the limbic brain. It's a response from the limbic brain. It's like when something goes in your eye. What do? You immediately blink. It's not like your brain is thinking. It's an automatic.
Yeah, because that person is some sort of authority.
Exactly.
That person's going to
a threat to you.
Just like when you're a kid and a principal walks into your classroom.
Holy cow!
You're like,
call you?
The principal's here. Yeah. It's an automatic behavior that we're all raised to have.
Correct. So now, this police officer backs off. I don't know what he did, but what I do know he did was not relay that information. Relay that information to up the channel.
Yeah.
Okay. Had I been me, I would have done something differently. But then again, I'm sitting here. I'm not there. But
exactly.
What we are trying to do is, look for cover and then
address the situation.
Take action. Go up the ladder, go up whatever, and put a couple of rounds. Call it in. That way.
Yeah, I don't know who the police officer was, but maybe he was an older person ready to retire. Somebody's pointing an AR-15 at you or something.
I don't want this at the end of my career,
and he's like, I'm almost on my way out. Maybe he backed up. Who knows in all fairness to him, nobody knows what the predicament was there. But the main thing is that he did confront or at least address the person, so the person's adrenaline would have to be going.
And it's not that we're trying to, chop these police up. I don't even know the name. Don't want to know the name. No, it's not like we're trying to chop them up or anything like that. We're not focusing on him. We're focusing on the assassin, because he sees the presence of a police officer, points a rifle. The guy goes, gets off the roof or whatever happened, and then he takes out from. This is from the White House. One of the press conferences they had, they announced that. This guy, the assassin, had taken out a rangefinder.
Yeah.
And then there are pictures of him, and then he puts it down and starts taking shots. Now, my heart would be pumping.
Now you're dealing with the hot roof.
And my elbows are probably cooked by now.
You're dealing with a crowd that's saying, "Hey, What's this guy doing up there?
Exactly.
And a police officer just confronted you.
Yeah, exactly.
And now you're about to try to assassinate probably one of the most famous people in the world.
Yep, exactly. The former leader of the free world. Anyway, in any case, so all this is going, and this untrained 20-year-old man is there on the roof, and shots are fired. And then again, the first shot, from what I understand, it was the first shot that grazed the ear of the former president, and then other shots go different ways. And I'm thinking, why? Why did this happen?
So what I was kind of bringing up, because being, raised around firearms since I'm a child, shooting my entire life, to just set up really quick and take 130, 140, 150 yard, whatever the number might be, shot, from dealing with just happened with your adrenaline running, to just drop into position and take that first shot, just a dry run, and be able to hit the president right in a spot that's designed to put somebody out, right, I think is, for somebody with supposedly no military training, no expertise, I think it's a very tough shot.
Oh, yeah.
I would say it's probably impossible.
And I don't care how many times, he played video games.
Oh, yeah. Even going to the range.
Exactly.
Because, I mean, you set up in a range right now, I guarantee I can take you to a range, give you a great AR, sighted in, everything, and I bet you your first shot from 140, 150 yards is probably not a dead bullseye.
It's not going to be, exactly, it's not. It's not.
So,
and why did he pick a 223? But in any case, long story short is that first shot goes off, and he grazes the ear of the president, the former president. And then there are other shots also that
are completely scattered.
Scattered, exactly. I think hit a person, bystander that took his life. Then another person gets injured.
And just to be clear, Donald Trump is a big guy.
I saw Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago in January of this year, January 2024. I was going in with a friend for another political activity, and he happened to be there, and he was visible. And we said, "Hello, Mr. Trump," or something like that. And he raised his hand. He stood up, and when I saw him, I mean, he's about 6'4" at least, and he's no small figure. I mean, he's a large man. Why couldn't have the assassin aimed at his chest? So we're taught to shoot center mass. Of course, different scenario. From a shorter distance. Snipers take aim at the head at the
a professional sniper is a one-shot kill.
One shot, one kill.
So
that's right.
If you're firing, if this guy was good enough to make that first shot as a headshot, a kill shot,
cold board,
right? Why wasn't his second shot to the body of Donald Trump? He couldn't even hit Donald Trump on the second shot.
Exactly, or the third, or the fourth.
Yeah. How do you hit somebody 30 feet this way and 30 feet that way and not be able to follow up a second shot into Donald Trump if you're such a good shot that you can sit there on a first shot and hit a headshot that's a kill spot?
Yeah. So we're thinking, okay, were there other people there that were conspiring with him, that were providing assistance? Was there a second sniper? Think about Lee Harvey Oswald and JFK and the trajectory of the bullet, and you think of different things. And I'm just thinking, and I'm not trying to put together a conspiracy theory or anything like that, but I'm thinking, okay, was there another sniper in sort of like the same line of fire that was set up?
Or very similar, just maybe a couple hundred yards from even further.
Because I would think that a professional sniper, first of all, I don't know if they're going to use a 223. Second of all, I don't think they're going to be that close. For something like that, for a political assassination, and believe me, I investigated a political assassination attempt.
Yeah, because you have done many different type of works overseas with many political people.
So I investigated a case that involved a former leader of a foreign country. I'm not going to mention the name or the country, but there was an assassination attempt against his life, and I participated in that. I was a case agent, actually. So why is it that a different round was not used? Why 223? Was there a second person? Same line of fire? Um, you know,
So I think maybe they use the same type of round just because it's common and it's easy to put it in the hands of that person as an easy thing. And I think a real sniper can use a 5.56 223 from 500, 600, 700 yards out and make that shot. I think they definitely could.
I've heard a couple of I've heard videos or watched videos of a couple of former special forces snipers, and I've listened to their opinions, and they are concerned also about the whole situation, and they hope that the FBI gets to the bottom of the facts.
Because I showed you on TikTok, there were some other snipers that say that they're very high rated and this and that, are also putting out theories that it's physically impossible for this kid to have made that shot.
Yeah, with all that adrenaline pumping, with all the surrounding elements and circumstances, wow, it would be
very difficult.
It would be pretty difficult. I'm not saying impossible, but I would say pretty difficult.
Things could happen, but I can guarantee that if anybody that's a good shot, if you take them to a range in a comfortable position, in a comfortable setup, having time to breathe, no pressure, and if they shot a gun and have experience, they probably got maybe a 50% chance of hitting a bullseye from that distance. Yeah. Being calm.
And again, we're trying to think outside the box. That's what we're trying to do. Just asking questions out loud.
These are actual concerns that I would ask as just somebody that knows about firearms and it's been to a range and shot. When you just set up your first shot, it's not smooth. I mean, you shoot your first shot because that's your warm up shot.
And when you are handling a pistol, which is much more smaller than an AR-15. You double tap. Usually, the first shot doesn't go where you want it. Want to go. Usually, for some. I mean, there are some other experts that will put, 1, 2, 3, multiple rounds through that same first hole. So,
And people don't realize how many times a shooting happens. I mean, this studio is what, 10 feet by 10 feet, maybe a little bigger. People don't realize that there's shootouts that happen in a room this size, and people miss each other from adrenaline. With handguns.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this guy's going to take the first shot shooting the most famous person in the world.
It makes you wonder. It makes you wonder, and it's not a crazy thought. It's not a crazy idea. Was there somebody else at a distance, that was actually fired that first shot?
Mm-hmm. Because you'll see cops get into, a shootout within a small area, and they'll unload, 50, 60 rounds, and nobody gets hit.
Yep.
And, I mean, that's under a pressure situation. And obviously, and these are trained shooters. Cops go through all types of training. A lot of cops, are both. They're a police officer and a SWAT officer, so they multitask doing both. And these guys have, real-life experience, real-life training, and still struggle to hit somebody very close to them when the adrenaline's pumping.
Yeah. I want to mention something. When a sniper is looking through that scope, those loophole scopes, they have a wide angle of vision. Mm-hmm. Field of vision is pretty. So I was looking at the video, and it seems like he's looking, he's not sure, and then he engages.
Yeah.
Re-engages and fires a shot.
And that's hard to just re-engage that rapidly and get right back on your target. Right on point.
Exactly. Hoping that you didn't bump the.
Because how many times you look in a scope and you get the darkness in the scope because you got to adjust your head, on the stock a little bit to make sure you got the right view.
Correct. So I actually applaud the actions of the sniper. He took out the threat. I don't believe that this sniper or the observer were in some sort of involved in some sort of
I don't think anybody on the team or anybody in the area has any involvement. Whoever did this or has something to do with it, if there is a second shooter, it's somebody way more advanced.
And another thing, a couple of things that I want to point out. First of all, the resources, that the president has, and versus the resources that the former president has. But let me go back to that in a minute. This man, the assassin, could have been associated with almost anybody.
Yeah.
I mean, we know that Russian intelligence is very active here in the U.S.
Yep.
We know that Chinese intelligence, I mean, for crying out loud, they are running police departments here,
Yeah, you told me. I think that's crazy.
Clandestine police departments. Have you seen when you go to L.A. or you go to Chicago or you go to big cities where the Chinese population is substantial,
heavy, yes.
high, guess what? Have you seen those newspaper stands, the free newspaper stands?
Yeah, somebody said that they're actually putting
exactly. I told you that they're actually putting messages or threats or instructions, or the Communist Party of China sees that as one of the tools to communicate and to intimidate the Chinese population that lives here in the United States. Okay, people talk about with the situation with the border, and yes, we're coming back to the resources, but the people are talking about the El Darien, the area in Panama, it's a jungle in Panama where people are gathering, a lot of Hispanics and people from other countries are gathering to caravan here through Central America and Mexico all the way to the U.S. And we're getting them here at the southern border, which is wide open. I've been there. I was a Border Patrol agent, in 80s.
Yeah, I was telling you earlier what's happening in New York right now with Venezuelans and these people are robbing people's watches.
Exactly.
$300,000 in watches were stolen at gunpoint in broad daylight with just people sitting down eating lunch at a cafe.
Yeah. So we have, El Darien, this area, where tons of people are coming through. And when we talk about, El Darien, we think about, for the most part, we think about Hispanics or Latin Americans, right? But people don't realize that they actually have the Communist Party of China is running camps, assistance camps in El Darien, in Panama. If you go to one of the refugee camps, you can speak with people from Ecuador, from Venezuela, from different countries, and they come and they talk to you. And you can ask them, what are you doing here? Where are you going? And they'll come and they engage and they'll talk to you. Go to a Chinese camp.
They won't say nothing.
They won't say anything. If they happen to come out, okay, they'll look at you, drop their head, walk away from you because they know that if they say anything at all, they're under threat. They'll be punished. Who knows what will happen to them? And
their families or whatever else that's in those countries.
Back there, exactly. So there are tons of them. So it could be Chinese. Russians are extremely active. I worked a little bit that angle when I was with the FBI in my early years, and the trade craft they use. And let me tell you, they are very smart. They're very aggressive. They have been able to flip some of our people, and they aim at. As far as recruiting goes, they aim at all kinds of levels that they are going. They know they can use, to obtain information, or to influence, decisions that are made at state, local level, or federal level. Okay. Okay. Let's go back to the resources. So I've heard people talk about, well, how come there wasn't an airplane? How come the drones? And these are people that don't know anything about.
Yeah, there's definitely drones flying around.
Yes, but do we really know that they had drones or not? The only thing I can say is this, that the President of the United States, Mr. Biden, has at his will and choice, and obviously the will and choice of the United States Secret Service, any sort of resource that they may have.
Yep.
Not only intelligence, but I'm talking about technology.
So I used to work in a building that was by the Miami airport. And a lot of times when Bush was president, he would come to, there's a hotel down there, he would come to very often down that Blue Lagoon Drive to the, I don't remember if it was a Marriott or a Hilton at the end. I don't know if they would have lunch there or something, but many times he would come in. But literally before he was in that area, there would be multiple vehicles with weird things on top. I guess they're some type of infrared stuff. And they would go through all the parking garages and drive slow and check everything. I guess they would see if there's car bombs or whatever. But they would do a lot of pre-surveillance. And we're talking quite a distance before he even came.
Yep.
They were going in there and literally doing all of that work to check. So
sweeps.
the president definitely has a lot more
Resources.
protection and resources than Trump does.
Yeah, exactly. There are jammers that they use. Like when I was in Iraq, I saw tons of vehicles that had these huge antennas. They were jammers. IEDs are activated or set off via cell phone.
Yeah.
So they would go ahead of the convoy and they would block or jam
signals.
Cell phone signals, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Does former President Trump have that, or did he have that at the rally? I don't think so. I didn't see that.
Well, a lot of people are saying that the director now of the Secret Service, that she should not be the director of Secret Service.
Well, it's about time that someone is saying something.
Yeah.
What I do understand, and without trying to knock down the Secret Service, because it's an agency that I respect, that I highly respect, that the agency has had issues, that has had problems with leadership, and again, some things have changed. But I mean, when you get to the file and rank of the Secret Service, you find some extraordinary people there.
And these people are always risking their lives every day because,
exactly,
and especially protecting Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump is to walk around and
I would not volunteer to protect him because I'm short in stature. They need people that are 6 feet tall
to
at
block
least. Him. Exactly, and they need females that are that height and that can handle something like that. At the academy, we're trained. They make us pull a bag of 70 pounds, 100 pounds, 50 yards or whatever, 25, 50 yards, whatever. But I don't think one of those females can do that. And I'm not trying to knock him down, okay? Because females play a major role in the protection of a principal, in the protection of a former president or a family member, et cetera, et cetera. They play an important role, and I applaud that. But I think that they have to put people there that can actually holster their weapon without looking at the holster.
yeah, that's a whole other thing that
It's embarrassing.
She's been all over every TikTok and every video
her,
that it literally took her 4 or 5 tries to try to holster her weapon.
Yeah, well,
now,
she didn't holster it. She just held it in front.
Yeah, she held it.
After a while, she holstered the weapon. But then again,
I'm sure her adrenaline's pumping too.
I was going to say that. In a moment
people don't
like
realize
that,
it.
in a moment like that, you go into a mode that it's something that you have not experienced before because you have a threat. You sense it.
Yeah, because most of the time people train for this all the time and they never incur this type of threat.
Yeah.
So the fact that it actually took place, I'm sure her adrenaline and everything was pumping and,
Yeah, and credit to the officer. I mean, I think that she did her best. There was another officer there, a female officer.
The other female officer that was there seemed like she was on point.
Yeah, I applaud that. But again, we're not trying to knock anybody down. I looked at the size of the Secret Service agents, and by the way, and the picture of where you see Secret Service agents walking Donald Trump off the stage, you see the picture, or you see the face of a Secret Service agent in the very back, with sunglasses on. I'm not going to mention the name, but he is the son of a former FBI agent, now deceased, a friend of ours that served in the Miami division.
Yeah.
But these things they run in the family.
Oh yeah, no, and I'm sure it's an honor. If your dad was an FBI agent, to become an FBI agent or go up to Secret Service, I'm sure that's a huge honor.
And again, I'm not going to mention the name because of for security reasons.
Yeah.
People don't need to know, but it's.
So the main question I will ask you to close everything out is: do you think somebody will be dumb enough to try to do something against Trump again?
Well, you know what? I'm not sure. I'm going to venture to say that they have time. They may be thinking now, okay, it's screwed up. Because in my ignorant opinion, I think that there may be other people involved in this.
Yeah.
I
would say the same too.
I think that there may be more people involved.
Years ago during a JFK assassination, people didn't have access to video cameras and everything like you see now. So there was a lot that, it's always, oh, this person said that or this person said that. But today,
nowadays with the technology, a cell phone, you can zoom in and you can take video or photos of somebody, standing, 300 meters away or more,
So now there's definitely a lot of question and doubt as to this guy making that shot, this guy being on the roof, this guy adrenaline pumping, people spotting him, pointing a rifle at a cop before he recenters to take a shot.
There are
there's
questions that are unanswered. There are circumstances surrounding, that particular moment that I hope are addressed. Again,
I don't think they'll ever be answered, to tell you the truth.
I think the only one that could have answered him is dead.
Yes.
Okay.
And I think it was, it's made that way.
Yeah. I tend to believe that way too. I don't think that. I think that perhaps somebody helped him out. Yeah. I don't have any evidence to support that, but based on my experience and my knowledge, and just from all these circumstances, I tend to believe that there may be other people involved. And I would not put it past, that maybe somebody that opposes Donald Trump because of political, geopolitical, economic, financial reasons, whatever. This man has been persecuted from the start.
Everything possible has been done to.
And then on top of that, he takes a shot. He got shot in the head. No. The ear is.
Listen,
attached to the head.
If Trump wasn't an inspiration before, you got to look at the guy right now and say this man's an inspiration.
Yes.
This man has come from being one of the most richest people around, gave a lot of that up to get his name dragged through the mud, made it to be a president when everybody doubted him, became president. From the day he became president, they've done everything possible to screw up his presidency. He still built an incredible, economy and did an amazing job as a president. Then gets a whole campaign and a whole corruption thing, thrown at him and all different things, pushed his way.
And not just him, but his family also.
Oh, yeah, everything.
And friends and associates.
Yeah. Look at everybody. Giuliani. And it's mind-boggling with Giuliani. Listen, I grew up in the Giuliani era. Yeah. And I seen what Giuliani did to New York City.
Yeah, he changed.
And that man, to me, is probably one of the best, people getting a job done that I've ever seen. How they have dragged this guy's name from being such a high-level, person to drag him through to make him a criminal now is mind-blowing.
Indicted, taking a shot to the when we were talking about that, I remember a story. Not that it equals to what happened to him, but I was just to give you an idea. I was at the range. This is many years ago. I was at the range. It was a night shoot, and I have my AR with me, and we're on the line. I think the 15-yard line, if I'm not mistaken. And it's at night, and we're going through the drills, and then I fire my weapon, and then all of a sudden, I fire. Then I hear another shot being fired. I don't know which side it was, maybe my left, my right, I don't know. And then I hit, and then I feel a major hit right here on the forehead. I still have a little bit of a dent right there, and my head goes back and forth, and I'm going like, ah, and I re-engage, because that's what we are taught.
Yeah.
At the academy we were, drilled to death. You get shot, you fall, you get up, and you keep fighting. You don't drop your weapon. So
your life is on the line.
Exactly. This is a drill. This is a controlled environment. And, I felt that something hit me in the head. It was actually a fragment of a bullet that somebody had fired, and it hit the rail that is at the end of the range. But and so I'm firing, and then I go, wait a minute, this hurts way too much. So I put it in safe, and I grab my head. I drop my weapon here in the front, and then I go, like this. I grabbed my weapon again. It was safe. I put it in the safe mode, and so the other agents, the firearms instructors, came up, and and now I'm grabbing my head like hard because it hurt.
Oh yeah, it hurts.
Like hell. Okay. And they go, what happened? What happened? I got hit by something. I think it was a fragment or something. And they wanted to grab my weapon. I mean, they had to pry that weapon out of my hand. They said, let go of the weapon. Who's got it? Because, you know, at that moment, you know, all kinds of stuff, are going on. So finally, I let go of the weapon. They took me aside. You know, it was red. You know, got a bruise the next day. But imagine that. It just a fragment of a bullet. I'm not talking about it was a fragment of a 223, but I'm a hard-headed guy.
It still ripped through Trump's ear.
Exactly. Imagine, and he was not expecting that. He was looking at a chart.
Yeah.
So this man has been dragged through the mud. He's been accused, wrongfully accused. He's been lied about. He's been threatened. His family, the same thing, and now he's been shot.
And they couldn't even get him off stage. He wanted to get back on stage. He was worried about his shoe and putting his hand up to say fight.
Fight, exactly. And I hope that those enemies of the people, enemies of Trump, take a step back and accept the fact that their views and their incendiary, inflammatory, vengeful comments about Donald Trump are totally wrong, unnecessary. It actually divides the country even more, and we don't need this.
And it makes them look bad. They don't realize it. They think they're out there saying all types of stuff about Trump, but at the end of the day, they look bad. Yeah. I mean, you don't see us. Listen, we can come on here and say a million bad things about Democrats and liberals and stuff like that. I don't. I support Trump. I don't support violence. I don't support the whole, situation. I support Trump winning, Trump protecting America, Trump cleaning up America. I want to be able to go for dinner with my wife, sit down, not worry about somebody pulling up on a scooter and robbing my wife or robbing me or killing us over nothing.
And these people, these groups, they travel from city to city.
Yeah.
They've been identified as Venezuelan gangs. I believe they belong to El Tren de Aragua, the Aragua strain. Aragua is a location in Venezuela. This criminal organization started in Venezuela inside of a prison and was actually the armed gang that the government of Venezuela, Maduro's government, used for political assassinations, and they got out of hand, and they are here in the U.S. Look what's happening in New York. So we need to be prepared. We need to read, study, analyze this, and listen to the people that make the most sense. So, listen, thank you for the invitation.
No, I learned a lot today,
and it's
a pleasure as always.
Thank you very much. And if any of you guys are out there, I have a couple of Instagram accounts. Some are in Spanish, some both English and Spanish. At Cesar Paz FBI. They want to follow me. That'd be great. I just opened one about a week ago. I haven't had much time to
So if you're watching this video, please like, subscribe, follow Cesar, follow me, the Paul Greenberg, and we'll hopefully bring you some more great interviews like this. We don't put many out, but when we put them out, they are good. So put some comments below. Let us know what you think, and hopefully you enjoyed this video.